Welcome to my series about all Chopin's music. Today we talk about Etude in E major, Opus 10, number 3. One of the most famous Chopin's piece and one of the most beloved Chopin's melodies. Chopin himself once said to his student Adolf Gutmann about this etude that he never wrote such a beautiful melody. That's what he said to Adolf Gutmann. And Adolf Gutmann also wrote another story. He wrote that one time when he played this etude for Chopin, suddenly during his playing, Chopin took his hands together, put them up, and said aloud, "Oh, my dear patrie," which means Poland, the homeland. "Oh, my homeland." Which probably meant that Chopin missed very much his country where he was born and when he spent the first 20 years of his life. So his most happy times. He was happy there until 1830, when he left Poland, and then when Polish uprising started, November uprising. Since then, Chopin was never again as happy as when he was a child and teenager and a young man. And we can say that this etude, in a way, describes his feelings towards his native country, his longing to his native country. The main problem of this piece is the tempo. And maybe we should start from this. I didn't want to play it immediately for you, because if I started to play in Chopin's tempo, probably many of you would just turn off this video and say, "Oh, this is ugly. What is he doing? It's too fast." Absolutely, we don't want to watch this anymore. And you wouldn't even know that Chopin wrote this tempo. Of course, probably many of you also already know that there is something with the tempo. We have some articles about it, maybe even some videos about it on YouTube. But here in these videos of analysis, we also have to touch this topic because it's very, very important and strange, and for me personally, very sad. So I will also express my personal opinion about it. What I'm talking about? I'm talking about the original Chopin's tempo marking, which he wrote here in this etude. And I want to show it for you now first, and then let's talk about it. The original Chopin tempo is like this. Are you shocked? Because I was. And was Chopin mistaken? Definitely not. Because in his manuscript, the first version of the tempo was written vivace ma non troppo, which means fast but not too fast. Then later he crossed vivace and wrote lento ma non troppo, which now means slowly but not too slowly. And he at the same time wrote this metronome marking, which I just showed you. And of course this is a song, so we cannot play with the metronome, but we have to respect that Chopin in his head, in his heart, and all inside himself, he felt this etude like this. He felt this melody like this. Why? Or maybe it's better to ask the question, why pianists, well, I think at the beginning of, in the first half of the 20th century, pianists started to play it slower and slower and then slower. And we can even find on the internet such tempo. Which I personally cannot stand. I mean, I just can't. Of course, the music is beautiful. It's lovely. It can even touch us, but it's not original. And as you know me already, I try to respect everything what Chopin wrote, and these videos are also to show all of you who are not musicians, all of you who don't have the score, you don't need it, you just want to listen to the music. I want you to know. That's why you are here, to know. I suppose that's why you listen to me. So I have this responsibility to check and to show you the original. And I have to tell you that I myself, I had to learn how to like this tempo, Chopin's tempo. I had to understand why this tempo is so fast. And I had to learn how to respect it. And then I had to learn how to play it beautifully in Chopin's tempo, or more or less in Chopin's tempo. And I did. And today I'm going to present it for you in his original tempo, but without any changes about the feelings or the character of the music. Now, the first question that we always have here when we do analysis of etudes. What is the difficulty? As I said before in my previous video about etude number 2, etudes were exercises to improve the technique of the pianist. So what kind of technique this etude improves? It's quite slow. It's not, fast fingers. Maybe let's go back and let's analyze a little bit problems of the previous etudes. The first etude improved the technique of arpeggios in the right hand. The second etude improved 3 weak fingers and make them played very fast, so that they are flexible and more faster, simply faster. And now we have the third etude, which continues to improve weak fingers, but has much more difficulties than only this one. Sorry. So there are many difficulties, and we have to go one by one so that you will understand what I'm talking about. First of all, the beautiful singing and the legato. This is something that we have to put it together with scales, arpeggios, double notes, double thirds, double sixths, everything. This is also a part of pianist's technique, to play beautiful sound and to imitate the singing on the piano. So this melody is constructed like a song. And what is the difficulty in the legato? Maybe you wonder. Legato means connecting the notes exactly in such a way that when we close our eyes, we can imagine the singer, or maybe the violin, or some brass instrument. Yes, in piano it's very difficult to do, because we have to listen, and we have to listen to when the sound is long, it disappears. So we have to listen all the time how it disappears and connect the next note when at the end of this long note, so that the listener will not hear the kick like suddenly bam, because we don't sing like that. So that's why this melody cannot be played too slow, because then the sound disappears. And of course it's also impossible to sing, because the singer has to take a breath, and we have a very long phrase here. That's why Chopin writes such a fast tempo. Just listen first how long the phrase is. I mean, where we can take the breath again. and more, 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 and more, 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 and here after 8 bars is the first possible moment to take the breath. We cannot do it earlier. Chopin doesn't let us do it. Of course, when we play slower, when the pianist played slower, then he has to cut the phrase and take the breath in a moment when he cannot take the breath. That's the problem. That's the main problem of the slow tempo. So I really hope that after this video, I do hope so, even if you like such a slow tempo, I hope that after this video you will reconsider, and maybe such a slow tempo in rendition of some pianists will get on your nerves a little, just like it get on my nerves. But so the legato, and now, and this is the first way which pianists should do. Learn to play only melody as beautiful legato as he can. Smooth, beautiful, singing legato. Now, the difficulty is not only legato, but the legato and this melody has to be played only with weak fingers. So now listen, this is connected with the former etude, A minor. In A minor, weak fingers has to become fast. Now weak fingers, which are not good singers, has to sing beautiful melody. Why? Because in the lower voice, in the same hand, we have the accompaniment. Now I play you only the accompaniment. That's the accompaniment. Together, when we play on the right hand, frankly, we don't need the left hand because it is already the complete music with accompaniment and with the melody. What we are actually missing is the bass, but we don't need to have a bass. Listen, it could be like this. And left hand has only basses, but also has the syncopated note. Syncopated note I explained in some other video. I think it was in some nocturne or something like that. As far as I remember, yes, in the nocturne, E major probably, Opus 62, number 2, or somewhere else. I don't remember now. In B major as well, Opus 62 number 1, definitely yes. So anyway, this is like somebody who came to the party but came 1 hour too late because forgot to change the clock, and came 1 hour earlier and say, hello, I'm here, and you know, nobody is prepared for the party, but he came already. So this is like too late, too early. And this is the accompaniment. Chopin also writes an accent on this syncopated note. But frankly, we don't hear it in the interpretations. But it doesn't mean it's not important. You know, it's like in the kitchen when we cook some very nice dish and we have spices. And there are always something like that, that we use some spice, we put some of this, and then when we eat, we don't feel the taste of this particular spice. But without it, it wouldn't be the same. And the same is here. Without this syncopation, it wouldn't be the same. So, coming back to the difficulties. First of all, beautiful legato with weak fingers. Second of all, in one hand we need to have two different touches. If we don't have this technique, it sounds like this. Very ugly. So we have to use two different touches in the left hand, in the left part of the hand. Unfortunately, strong fingers has to be very weak. Weak fingers has to be very strong. Strong fingers have to be very weak. Weak fingers have to be very strong. That's the correct sentence. Anyway, that's the problem of this etude. And of course, rubato, beautiful singing. And this is part A. So now let's listen to this part A in its entirety. And I can also show you now how it is constructed, because it's very special. And now we will have another reason and another answer why Chopin wants such a fast tempo, because it is also musical period, but the first sentence, the first phrase is extremely long. So let's just listen how long the first sentence is. And it's not yet the end. Here, only the first sentence ended, and then the second starts, and it starts from the beginning, like always. And the conclusion. The climax, forte fortissimo, my friends. This is really a lot, and from here I think this is the place that probably I think that this is the place when Chopin could probably put his hands up and scream, "Oh my dear homeland," because here we have this fortissimo, and then we have the saddest part, the part that breaks our heart. This moment that we will hear will break our heart. Just listen. And this is the end of part A. Part B is slightly faster. Poco più animato, so a little faster. And brings new difficulties to this etude. It brings the difficulty of playing two notes in one hand together. And at the beginning these are sixths, so we will have another etude for the sixth in Opus 25, but Chopin haven't written yet this etude, so he doesn't even know he's going to write it probably. So here he writes the exercise for playing two notes at the same time in right hand. Look, because you are very close, so you can see. This is like it can be played with two hands. This is, by the way, how I suggest people to practice it. With two hands. Because we need to have a beautiful legato, and it's very difficult to do in one hand, having two voices in one hand. It's very good exercise before you play barcarolle. It's good to play this etude. You need to have a very flexible wrist and very flat fingers. Chopin doesn't build the musical period, but instead he is just adding sequences. Let's listen. This is the one sequence that is repeated 4 times, 2 times in one key and then 2 times from another note, a little higher note. Listen here. Second time. Sorry. And then higher note. Again. I have to play it again one more time. Better legato. We came to the second part, another motif, another sequence, when we will have the technique of echo, you know, something very loud and then something coming back from far away very silently. Here in this part, we also have a problem of additions. You can hear in the recordings, probably even if you don't have very good ear, you can hear that some pianists play differently. And well, in my edition I have a new Ekier edition, and frankly I have to tell you that this is there was another in Polonaise Fantasy. The example, then I don't really agree, I can't agree with this, and I play with the Paderewski edition, because I learned it before like this, I love it, and I can understand why we don't have it. But I present for you 2 versions now. So the idea of these bars are like this. We have loud and silently, and loud is in major key. Silently is in minor key. It makes sense. And in the first time it's like this. But in my edition here, it's also major. So it's only piano but also major. That's how it is. Like this. And here is minor. And I played like I learned before when I was a teenager. Major, minor, major, minor. But it's very interesting because here in my edition it says in the commentary that the version that I play, Chopin wrote to some student. So we have it in some copy of students' etude, that student worked with Chopin and Chopin wrote and changed and wrote it like this. So probably for Chopin it didn't really matter. And he probably thought, oh, here we'll change the color, major, minor, and so on. So it's not really that important, you know. Don't be so orthodox to think. I don't think it is like the very, very important. But anyway, I really wanted to make it clear in this video. So now let's listen to this echo and then building the energy. And then again echo and again building the energy. So here we suddenly feel pain. It's like somebody put us like this. We can't breathe. We feel pain. And from this moment, we will have the building the dramatic climax. And this is something incredible, so I have to stop here. I have to explain to you what is the interval that is called Tritone, I think. Is it in English? excuse me, give me 1 second, I just have to check it, because I'm not so sure. Yes, exactly, I think it is tritone. Yes, tritone. In music theory, the tritone is defined as a musical interval composed of 3 adjacent whole tones. Well, I please don't go. I'm not going to go deeply inside this. What I only want to tell you that this will be interesting for all of you, even not musicians, that for many years in medieval and in the Renaissance and early Baroque, this interval, so interval, so the space between 2 notes, called a tritone, was forbidden, was absolutely forbidden to use. Composers were banned to use, and even if some composer used it, he was burned, you know what I mean, in the fire. Why? Because it was considered that this interval brings the devil to the earth. So it was called a diabolus in musica, from the Latin, so devil in music. And to use it 1 or 2 or 3 times, well, we can forgive, but Chopin used it here 32 times, and in both hands. So altogether we will hear 64 tritones together. So we have 64 devils. Terrible, and it sounds terrible. So let's listen to this devilish music. And we reach the climax. It's like a fight. And then we have the climax, and here we have we need big hands for that. Small hands has trouble here. We have double notes here all the time, but we have it in a fast tempo, forte, con bravura, which means with courage, and it's very chromatic, so we feel the climax, which is full of drama. Something that we don't expect when we listen to the beginning of the etude. Compare. We compare this to this. And then suddenly stop, silence, and now we will have the bridge to part A. And in this bridge we again have some controversial moment. The bridge sounds like this. This is what Chopin wrote. I play originally with deep respect to his writing. And part A again. So again, in this etude we have A, B, A. Maybe you are surprised, because in 99% of recordings we hear a little different melody. We hear the melody like this. This is wrong, sorry to say, and I know even great pianists play like this, but I'm not talking about great pianists, I'm simply talking about how it's written. I can even show you this. If you are a musician, you can see. This note has an accent and is long. And what we have down here is only the accompaniment, which must be played very silently. So these last 2 notes in the melody that we hear in, sorry to say, bad recordings, of even great pianists, I really don't understand why they play like this, because it is not what is written in this music. It means that because, as I told you, the real difficulty in this etude is to hide the accompaniment, which we also have in the right hand. If we don't hide the accompaniment, then we have this melody, because we cannot play the lower voice softer, right? But if we have to exaggerate, because that's how Chopin wrote, and we have to play it this is like, we say something and we wait for the answer. And this is very soft. So this is how it should be played from what is written. And now Chopin brings us back to part A, and part A is without any differences. Only the coda is bringing us a little bit of the tension in the accompaniment in a very beautiful way. Just listen to the end. And now, tension and release, and tension and release. Like heart maybe, or something like that. But definitely this music is about something. Chopin was proud of this etude. He was proud of this melody. He loved it. Even in England, when he was just 1 year, 2 years before he died. He was in England, he played it, but he also heard it in the version with a voice and with some text. We don't know the text, but as a song. And he even liked it. So he definitely considered it as a song. So let's now listen to this again, and what strikes us the most is the difference in the middle part comparing to the first part, A. This is some kind of story. What story? We don't know. Everybody can think about its own story. And I will play it for you in the original Chopin tempo, because, as I said before, but even if in public, probably I will try to play it a little slower because it's very fast. But in these videos, I deeply respect Chopin's writing in most of the times, all of the times I try. So especially here I want to present to you what Chopin had inside him, because he, with his head, wrote this tempo. He was not stupid and he knew what he wanted. So let's listen to what he wanted. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye bye.